guys, I'm back, and the topic of today's video, Halo 5 is easy, and I'll explain what I mean by that in just a second. But before I get into it, thank you so much for the 5,000 plus views on the last video. That is insane. I was not expecting that. If you subscribed as a result of watching the last video, thank you. Welcome aboard. If you liked or disliked or commented, thank you for taking the time to contribute. Now, I know it was a controversial topic. I was defending my stance on Halo 5. Personally, I believe Halo 5 is a great game, and the mechanics are great the way they are, and they do not need to change, especially this late into the life of the game. But that doesn't mean that I dislike classic Halo. I love classic Halo as well. I was raised on classic Halo, but I also love Halo 5. Halo 5 is a great game, a very difficult game, and a very misunderstood game, because I looked at some of those comments, and for whatever reason, I noticed that some of you guys seem to think that Halo 5 is easy because of all these abilities, because you can thrust, you can sprint, you can stabilize, ground pound, Spartan charge, whatever. You think that these are like get out of jail free cards and they're exploitable and they're easy and the skill ceiling is lower because of it. I completely disagree. At a low level, maybe you can take advantage of some of these mechanics. Maybe you can thrust in a situation where you normally would have died in classic Halo, or maybe you can clamber in a situation where you would have missed your jump in classic Halo. But at a low level, is that only really, making things easier? At a high level in this game, your fundamentals, that being your strafing, your crouching, your jumping, everything that's available in classic Halo, you still have to master those fundamentals, but now you have to master a whole other layer of mechanics on top of those fundamentals as well, meaning that this game is incredibly deep and incredibly challenging. I'd say it's one of the most challenging Halos of all time, and this is Shotzzy right now, by the way, guys. We're going to look at some Shotzzy gameplay. I'm going to showcase to you guys that you don't just have to, you can't just spam your abilities. The timing is important, and you also have to have incredibly strong fundamentals. Check out this play here. He's going to use pretty much just a crouch and a strafe to take out two of some of the best players in Halo.
You're on a roll. That's a double. And that's
Disgusting.
A triple.
He just takes those players out. There's Denoxide, goes for the triple. That's an overkill right there. He takes out all of those players. Let's rewind it back and see what exactly happened. Now, the beginning of this clip here, he's flanking these players on yard. There isn't too much that could be said. He has a good flank. He gets some free shots on Snakebite. He's going to take out Denoxide easily. Oops, I did not mean to go back there. Take out Denoxide. Now, note that in this game, yes, there's a clamber, and the clamber makes it easier for you to jump across different gaps. At a low level, sure, you'll do that, but at a high level, all of us know that you cannot be clambering. Every time that you clamber, you slow down the momentum of your movement, and you're vulnerable to shots. So in any situation that you don't need to clamber, you shouldn't be clambering. You should crouch jump. You should cross those gaps without clambering and maintain your momentum, just like Shotzzy's doing. Right here, you'll notice he actually pauses. He doesn't immediately drop down. He lets Snakebite come out with the push, because you don't want to drop down there. That's a nade trap. That's a bad place to be standing. Shotzzy knows that. He's patient. He uses the wall cover to his advantage. He's going to get a shot on this player, drop down for a second, immediately jump back out to get out of that situation. Now, something else you might not notice, he knows players are behind him because he's got to push up on these players on the driveway, but instead of just kind of like walking out and turning later, he fully turns his cursor around and prepares his reticle while he still has wall cover on this box, so that he's going to come out around this box already ready to aim and shoot. So you're going to see that right now. Comes out ready to aim and shoot, fires those shots on Snakebite. Now he has a thrust, and he's going to burn his thrust here. When you burn your thrust, that is your lifeline. That's like your only opportunity that you have to juke somebody, really, and he's going to burn it right here. It's not a bad place to burn it. If he thrusts backwards, he's definitely screwed. If he thrusts forwards, he's probably in a situation where he could be easily meleeed for a trade. By thrusting to the left, he crosses up Randa right here. You can see he crossed up Randa. Randa's going to have to take a second to react to the cross-up, and now he's in a situation where he's got cover on his right and a little bit on his left, too. But he holds his ground, and this is a perfect example of having strong fundamentals. Like, everything that you've ever learned from Halo 2, Halo 1, Halo 3 is what you have to take advantage of here. When you burn your thrust lifeline, you cannot jump. If you jump in this game, after you've used your thrust, it's a moon jump. You're stuck in the air, and every classic Halo player knows that, especially Shotzzy. So instead, he's going to crouch and strafe at the same time. Watch as he takes advantage of this. Multiple crouches. He uses the crouch and the strafe to kind of bounce himself around. It's hard to explain exactly how he's doing this, but like there's like 6 separate crouches. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. He's going to crouch multiple times and strafe at the same time. And you can also see that he's using his strafe, his left stick, to guide his aimer as well. In this game, you don't want to primarily use your right stick to aim. You want to start by using your left stick to really help situate your aimer and, put it on, I guess, to get the reticle as close to the opponent as possible so that you could make that right stick adjustment in the last possible second. And it's just a minor right stick adjustment that he's making. You'll see he's even following Snakebite with his left stick. His crouch and his strafe at the same time are following Snakebite as he moves. So all he really needs to do is like adjust his right stick in the last available second and just whip it on his face. And he's probably not even pegging the right stick as well. That being when when your right stick hits the edge of the controller and kind of makes a noise because you pegged it is what it's called. In this, he's probably not pegging. He's probably just doing a slight flick and adjustment, coupled with that movement on his left stick to precisely line up that aimer. So tons of confidence in that play. Didn't need to jump, just quality use of strafe and crouch. So the fundamentals have to be there, and your timing is so important. This clip is going to showcase why timing is important as well. The thrust slide jump, one of the mechanics in this game, you sprint, thrust, crouch, and it's going to let you slide and then jump out. And we can see right here some crazy stuff is going to happen. I'll let this play.
Guard. And that's a triple. Damn, you're good.
And then this is nuts. He did not deserve this. Like, he flew in, got that kill. He got some help from Ryan. I think if he didn't have that help, he would have been destroyed. Like, there's no way. But so many different abilities and timings used in this clip. It's insane. So, yes, there's a ground pound. And, the ground pound is an opportunity that you would not have in classic Halo, but the timing when he uses these abilities is so smart that he's taking advantage of them here. Now, the first thing coming up on the pink side here, take a look at how he jumps up onto this arm. You always want to make sure that you know your routes in this map. Always jump up on this arm when you're pressuring blue 2 because it gives you options. When he's standing on this arm, he can either go blue 2 if he wants, or he can back out to the attic, or he can duck down below the attic and hide on his left side. So he has so many different options for escaping just by standing in this position. He doesn't have to burn a thrust to get to these different situations. So any classic Halo player or any modern Halo player should know and take advantage of that. He's going to do that, take those players out, or he takes out Trippy, and now that he's in this spot here, like, jumping up into this attic, the players know he's in the attic. This is a very easy nade spot, and Shotzzy knows it's an easy nade spot too, so he doesn't want to stand here for long, so he could theoretically, like, drop back down to the platform below him and hide for a second and try and get his shields back, but that's not really how this game works. This game is intense, it's fast-paced and aggressive. He makes a prediction, well, he can also see on his radar that Saiyan is going to push up aggressively on him. He can fight aggression with aggression. He perfectly times his ground pound right there in a situation that avoids the nades on the attic and also puts him in a weird angle for Saiyan, who's trying to jump over. He can take advantage of the ground pound. APG is some easy shots at this point. APG's not looking, but even after he takes out APG and he knows that there are players spawning up on the car side, instead of just kind of walking around and trying to take out that opponent, like sliding in, he immediately sprints and then slide jumps so he can get some extra momentum and throw himself to the other side of the doorway. You never want to be caught in the center of the doorway in the situation. It's going to force you to burn a thrust, and you have no easily available cover on your left and right. By slide jumping like that, he immediately puts himself over the right side of the doorway and gives him right side cover. Easy kill on Rain right there with the headshot. Like, brings his focus over to Trippy instantly, but Trippy right now, Shotzzy has a thrust that he can use on Trippy if he wants to. He can thrust forward, backward, left, right, take advantage of the situation, but instead, he's not going to use his thrust because don't use your thrust if you don't have to. Be confident in your strafe. He has full shields. Shotzzy has no reason to thrust right here. All he needs to do is just confidently strafe like you would in classic Halo, crouching and strafing and taking advantage of that opportunity. You see that right there. He takes out Trippy and saves his thrust so he can use his thrust as a thrust slide to dive in on that opponent. The fact that he even got him is crazy. Like, Saiyan, it looks like Saiyan actually crouched into one of his shots because his reticle's kind of low there, and it looks like Saiyan was crouching trying to strafe, and he got caught by crouching in that headshot. So it's just the timing of all these abilities and the presence of mind that you have to use them correctly is so huge. Most players would thrust in that battle with Trippy, but instead he was confident in his strafe and his shots, and he forced Trippy to thrust, and he took him out as a result, saved the thrust for the next battle, and took out that player. Now, timing and the fundamentals isn't the only thing in this game. You have to build up on those fundamentals by taking advantage of the extra nuances that come with these abilities in this game. This game has a crazy amount of button combos. If you remember from Halo 2, the BXR, the double shot with the BR, super jumping, things like that. There are so many different combos in H2 that made the game a lot more technically challenging and competitive. Halo 3 is full of combinations too, and I'm going to show that to you in this clip. This is some of the fastest movement I've seen from Shotzzy taking out these players. Watch this. The guy's like at lightning speed right now. Ryan Noob is completely flustered. And Contra's down too. That's going to be the end of the clip. So many little things happening in here. Grabs the shotgun. I don't know if you guys noticed. He just threw a nade right there. Like his nade counter just went down to 0. It's so hard to tell he threw a nade because he throws it so fast, and when he throws it, he instantly YYs, meaning he switches his weapon twice. In order to do that, you basically have to be either clawing your controller or have a paddle on your controller so you can instantly switch weapons twice. But the reason why he does it is because it frees him up to sprint immediately. Normally, if you throw a grenade, there's a lag time between throwing the nade and sprinting, but switching weapons is an animation cancel that cancels the nade throw animation and allows him to sprint the moment he touches the floor. Throws a nade, instantly sprints the moment he touches the floor, the nade hits the opponent. Remember that the shotgun has a bouncing projectile, so Shotzzy knows that, takes advantage with the bounce. It's going to take out that kill. Now, this is a super technical jump. This is a crazy button combination that you're only going to see in Halo 5 when you combine all of the abilities together. It's a spring jump into a thrust, into a stabilize, into a clamber. All of these mechanics are not easy to do. A spring jump, like, I don't know how much time I have to explain all this stuff, but spring jump, jump, hold crouch, land on the floor while still holding crouch. Now you're ready to spring jump, release crouch and jump, like one after another, but you're doing it almost simultaneously. The two actions are happening so close together that it feels almost simultaneous, but really there's like a 60th of a second or so in between these two actions. So you're releasing crouch, jumping, almost at the same time, but one slightly before the other, and then instantly thrusting afterwards, activating your stabilize, holding clamber, and crouch in the air. Crouch pops you up to your peak height, holding clamber so that you can clamber up, or tap and clamber, whatever you have. That's like 5 different things that he had to, incorporate at the same time just to get up on that ledge, and now he's going to follow Destroyed. He predicts that Destroyed is going to run because Destroyed recognizes that Shotzzy has a shotgun. So he's going to back off. So Shotzzy, with the presence of mind, he's going to thrust slide himself forward, push up on the spawn. Ryan Noob is completely flustered, was not expecting it at all. And you can tell by the way Ryan Noob is moving. He's moving like he's flustered. Like, he jumps, thrusts to the right, and then instantly jumps when he hits the floor. He could have strafed when he hit the floor. Honestly, if he was feeling aggressive, Ryan Noob, as a reaction, could have jump thrusted forward right here over Shotzi's head and maybe backsmacked him or made Shotzzy confused, slowed down his progress enough for that so that so Contra could collapse with him. But instead, you can see Ryan Noob's flustered because Shotzi's pushed up so fast. He didn't even thrust, and Shotzzy has a thrust in this situation too. He's pushing up. You can see that the thrust counter is disappeared, so he has his thrust, but instead he's crouching, trusting his strafe, saving his thrust for the very last second so he can push up and surprise Contra as well and get that combination. Look how he's combining the two attacks. It's the shotgun blast followed by an immediate weapon switch into the pistol, and that's something that you'd have to either claw your controller or have a paddle to incorporate. Okay, so we got button combos, we got timing, you have to master the fundamentals. I got one more, and this video is probably way too long at this point, but I love showcasing this type of stuff. This is how you can use the thrust as a mechanic to take advantage of the geometry in your map, which is insane. Thrusting has multiple applications, and one of them is if you sprint and thrust up a ramp. Watch this. Just thrust it up a wall. Lethal had no idea he got taken out. He's gonna dive over for a double kill. Perfect shots on Snakebite, tosses the nade for the triple, moves up. Watch the reaction. Like the crazy reaction on Royal 2 as he gets that overkill with the body punch and a super jump, thrust slide jump, stabilize, hold crouch, gets up to top mid without clambering. These are all crazy button combinations and like little nuances and things that are happening here. We're going to play it back. He's sprinting up. He's going to grab the overshield. He knows that Lethal's pushing him. Now he has multiple routes that he can take in this map. He can go hide maybe in needles. He can go, around to the other side to blue base or under blue base. But he knows, or maybe he predicts that, Lethal has the combo, and with the combo he can instantly take his shield off. But Shotzzy knows the routes in this map like pretty much nobody. He's going to thrust himself up a wall. If you notice a ramp, and this is something that you're going to have to research into because not all maps have this. Regret has it everywhere practically. The walls are sloped, like slanted, which are kind of like a ramp. if you sprint and thrust into this, you'll fly up the ramp. Now, the timing is super specific. If you do it too late, you're going to get, like, it'll feel like you're hitting an invisible ceiling if you do it too late. If you do it too early, he's going to go nowhere up there. Like, he'll barely go up. You have to do it at this perfect time where you use about half of your thrust on the floor, and the second half of your thrust is on that wall. You'll see he uses it right there. So he's kind of, like, thrusted for a bit before he connects. You want to make sure you don't thrust when you're already connected on the wall. Let me go back here a bit. Just before he connects, thrust, and then he's up that wall. He can clamber up. Lethal has no freaking idea. Easy kill on Lethal. Now, this is a crouch jump. This is your classic Halo right here. The only way to get up on this wall, you have to make sure that you jump and you hold crouch, and make sure that you position your jump over to the far backside. So on this screen here, the far left, because the higher you crouch jump up on that, the better chance you're going to actually grab onto it. If you try to jump on the right side of it, so like the lower part of the slope, it's actually a little misleading. You'll slide down. So he jumps up to that left side. The moment he jumps, he starts by activating his sprint so that he can sprint jump thrust. If you sprint jump thrust, you're going to thrust farther. He flies across this gap as a result, puts the shots in Frosty. He can hit these shots on Snakebite, toss the nade now. He doesn't actually have any weapons to switch, so this is the fastest he's going to be able to sprint afterwards. And then I guess it's like a prediction comboed with crazy reaction time on Royal 2 that he gets those shots. Now this is after the clip, maybe not even necessary, but this bum jump or this super jump, like the timing that he does it is very specific. Like, you cannot, I don't know if you guys know this, but you cannot thrust slide over, like, raised surfaces. On the floor there, right in the entrance to the doorway on the floor, that's a slightly raised surface. If you run or sprint and thrust and then try to slide, like, if you start your thrust right in that doorway, then your feet will briefly leave the ground and you can't slide anymore, and your thrust slide will be disrupted. So Shotzzy knows this because he's done this a million times. He starts his thrust on the edge, like right on that edge side of the bridge here, so he knows that he's got a nice flat surface to take advantage of, and he's going to sprint, thrust, slide, jump, hold crouch, activate stabilize while holding crouch, and he can make it over that gap with a higher peak height on his jump. He doesn't have to clamber, keep his momentum on the map. This is just an example, guys. This probably went on way too long, but these are 4 different situations where I've showcased to you how this game is deeper as a result of the mechanics in this game. Removing something like sprint makes this stuff impossible. This is why I love Halo 5, because it has this depth, and we are just scratching the surface. Go watch more of Shotzzy, honestly. You go to xboxdvr.com, you can watch more of his clips. You can learn so much just by watching him play. He knows this game in and out, and more players are starting to learn this and starting to take advantage of this. This is the new era, the new meta of competitive Halo, and I'm excited to see more of that. We just have to get more passionate about it. We have to be excited about these types of mechanics. And I know that, classic Halo is a different game, and these two games are very different games. And hopefully Halo 6 bridges that gap in some way. But I want Halo 5 to reach its pinnacle. I want to see more from this, and let's get more maps. Let's balance those weapons and get more maps so I can see more sick jumps, more thrusts up walls, more kneecaps off things. Like, I love watching that type of stuff, and if you're passionate about it too, let me know in the comments, guys. What do you think? Is Halo 5 a tough game? Where would you rate Halo 5 in difficulty, basically? Would you put Halo 5 at the most difficult, or would you say it's the least difficult? Is Halo 1, Halo 2 the most difficult? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell beside the subscribe button. You can keep up to date with everything happening on the channel. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you around.